My name is Daniel Meshach Owenyo Abuto. I was born in 1982 in West Songo sublocation, Kisumu district of Kenya, to the Reverend Sospita Abuto Ogacho and Mrs. Clarice Abuto. I grew up in Kenya on a farm until the age of 17, when by the grace of God, I was fortunate enough to come to the United States. I came here as a dependent of my parent because my dad at the time was a student at Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, Texas. The intention at the time of my coming was to go to school and pursue schooling and education, and which I did. I finished my high school. I did not graduate from college. I did get into college, but I did not graduate from college. As a result of that and having to make a livelihood, I became a mechanic by profession, something I learned from my dad. I'd see him fixing cars left and right, and I picked up the habit. I am fortunate enough, by the grace of God, to also call myself a citizen of the United States. I live in Abilene, Texas. I have 2 children. I have an 18-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old daughter. They're both in college right now. The plight of my country, Kenya, and the economic state really bothers me, because I have lived almost the same amount of time in both countries, and I can very well compare both countries one hand to the other hand and tell you the likes and the dislikes and the advantages and the disadvantages of both countries. The one thing that I do know for a fact, and I want to stress, and is going to be my key point in all of my videos and in all of my communication with y'all, is that Africa is capable of feeding the United States and not just the other way around. And why do I say that? Because much as the United States is prosperous and the United States is great, and dear God, it's a good country to live in, it didn't happen that way by magic, and it didn't get that way overnight. It took a lot of deliberate, intentional, hard work to get this country to where it's at. It took a lot of deliberate and intentional hard work to build this infrastructure. And they did it against climate. I was trying to show you a guy there weatherizing his windows because it's supposed to get super cold on Monday. And it's supposed to stay that way for 3 days. That is something that we don't deal with on the equator. 365 days out of the year, the fluctuation in our temperatures is maybe 5 degrees difference. In the United States, particularly in Texas where I live, that's a blessing. There is farmers in Texas, there's oil in Texas, cotton is grown on a large scale in Texas. Weather-wise, annual rainfall, I think Kenya gets more rainfall than Texas does annually. Most of the agriculture here is done by irrigation. But it is done in a climate where you have, if best, 9 months out of the year when the weather is favorable and viable and you can do some planting with it. And then the rest of the year is freezing cold. This morning I'm going to work and I'm layered up. I've got about 3 pants on, 5 pairs of clothes, just to be able to withstand the cold. Therefore, a good, hard-working, determined farmer in Kenya should produce 3 times as much as a farmer in the United States can produce, just because of the weather alone. Before you add any factor, just because of the weather alone, we should be producing more than a farmer in the United States. Secondly, let's leave that for now. These videos, I can't go more than 5 minutes, so you won't share it. Let's start with that.